YouTube channel Savings by the Cup. I'm so excited to finally do more than just an intro video. As promised, today we're going to be talking about my 2025 goals, specifically my health goals. I'll be doing some other follow-up videos to discuss my financial, investing, and Etsy goals. I just think that maybe if I included all that in one video, it might be a little bit too long, especially for me since I'm barely starting out. But anyways, let's go ahead and get back on track. So we are already in October. I know a lot of times New Year resolutions start in January, but as I mentioned before in my previous video, it didn't quite work out for me this year, so here we are again in October, giving it a second try. On today's video, I'd first like to start off by talking about a recent video that I watched that really motivated me. I'll try to see if I can link her below for you. I've tried looking for the video already multiple times, but can't seem to find it again, so I promise that if I do find it, I'll link it here. Anyways, in this video, this woman was discussing how at times when we have goals, it's almost good to set a time frame, since this might make it easier for you to set your mind on things knowing that there is going to be an end. For example, weight loss. I know that for most of us, losing weight is something we would rather see as a lifestyle change rather than just a diet or something that we do for a short period of time. But if you're struggling like me to start, using this methodology of setting a time frame might actually be helpful. So that's exactly what I decided to do. On October 13th, I sat down and told myself that for the next month, I would be locking in. Yes, I know that this is such an awkward time of the month to start, but it's never too late. Normally, I would just note this date down on my planner, but since my personal planner has a lot of other personal appointments on there, what I did for this video is I went ahead and printed out two calendars, one for October and one for November. So as we can see here, here's the month of October. This is going to be my start date, October 13th. So I'm going to put the start date here. Now, if you notice, a month out from October would take us to November 13th, but that falls on a Thursday. So instead of just stopping here on a Thursday, I decided to give myself a few extra days, and instead I'm going to try to see if I could focus all the way through November 16th. So this right here is going to be my end date. My goal is that hopefully by this end date, I'll be able to lose 10 pounds. But if I'm being honest, if I'm able to lose any weight at all, that's going to make me happy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and note this down on my journal. This journal that I have right here is a journal that I like to, set aside for specifically health-related tracking. So I like to use it to write down my goals, keep track of my weight and anything like that, and it just kind of helps me keep track of my progress. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to a page that doesn't already have some information on there. So let's go ahead and open it right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my start date. So my start date is going to be 10/13/25, and I'll go ahead and note down here what my start weight is. Now I know this video is already going to be posted a few days past the start date. I'm hoping that towards the end of the month I'll be able to give you a full update on how much total weight I lost, but for now I'd like to keep that information private just in case. But like I said, I have my start date written on here. And so the next thing that I did is that the next thing I'm going to do is that on this next page, I want to go ahead and set some ground rules for this next month. So let's go ahead and put some ground rules. So what exactly are going to be my ground rules? Well, to begin, let's go ahead and first start off talking about calories. I'd like to stay within a good calorie range. To figure this out, I decided that I would enter all my info into MyFitnessPal, including my weight, my goals, and my activity level. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not quite ready to commit fully to working out every single day. So for activity level, I did select on there the lowest option possible. That way, if I can't for any reason work out, all my goals and progress won't be completely dependent on that. However, Despite this, I'm going to try to see if I can get in some workouts every day. I don't intend on doing some high intensity cardio, but really my goals are just to walk maybe two times a day on my 10-minute breaks at work, and to try to also walk on my walking pad for 30 minutes, at least maybe 5 times a week. So even though I selected inactive for my physical activity, anything I do on top of that regarding workouts will just be able to contribute towards me reaching my goal. So let's go ahead and first write that down. My first goal is going to be to stay within my calorie range. Now, something to note is that when I say I want to stay within my calorie range, I don't just mean that I want to do this Monday to Friday. I would like to do this even on the days that I am on a cheat day, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead and note that down on here, even on cheat days. So I would like to stay within this calorie range. This calorie range, like I said, I did select inactive, and that is going to give me a little bit more wiggle room, but my goal is still not to hit the max amount of calories every day, especially because I know that when you're counting calories, sometimes we can tend to maybe add in a little bit extra, or maybe not be as accurate when counting them or weighing our food. So instead of doing that, like I said, my goal isn't to hit the max calorie range, but instead to stay within that calorie range. For me, MyFitnessPal recommended about 1,800 calories roughly. It might have been a little bit more, I just can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm just gonna note that down here in parentheses, 1,800 calories, and even on cheat days. The next thing I'm gonna note down is what I mentioned already about wanting to try to work out 30 minutes 5 times a week, and then also to walk on my 2 10-minute breaks. So there we have it. We have 3 goals so far. My next goal that I also would really like to stick to this next month is just drinking enough water. I struggle a lot to do that. So again, I'm gonna write down my next goal. I'm gonna say I'd like to drink at least 8 to 10 cups of water. I know I probably could drink more, but I really don't want to overwhelm myself setting unrealistic goals for myself, since I know I'm already not really good at this. I just want to start off with baby steps. I'll do 8 to 10. If I can drink more than that, then I definitely will. Another goal that I'd like to set for myself for the next 30 days is to take my supplements. I know that cold and flu season are coming up pretty soon, so I'd like to take a few more supplements to help out with immune support and also just with hair growth. So I'm going to note that down. Take supplements every day for hair growth. I believe the recommended on the brand that I use is 3 times a day. And for immune support, I believe it is 2 a day. So that's gonna be another one of my goals. On top of this, I also am a big coffee drinker, and I'd like to maybe slow down a little bit on my caffeine. So now, instead of drinking as much coffee, I'm gonna try to see if I can maybe drink some more teas, just to kind of help wean myself off a little bit from caffeine. So drink, I'm gonna say 1 tea a day. Now obviously I still have to be careful because I know that tea has caffeine in it as well. However, I know that sometimes when I am trying to eat in a calorie deficit, I can get hungry at times, and I feel like having something warm, most of the time I reach for coffee, can kind of help a little bit with suppressing my hunger. So now, instead of going for caffeine and coffee, I'm gonna try to see if I can stick to some teas that I have. I have a few herbal ones that I can drink. I do have a few different green teas and other flavors. Like I said, I'll just have to be a little bit mindful of how much caffeine I'm drinking from the tea as well. But that's gonna be goal number 6, drink 1 tea a day. I also know that tea tends to have a lot of benefits in it, like it has a lot of antioxidants and other things like that. So that's also one reason why I'd like to start drinking more tea. Now, the last thing I also want to do, which I forgot to mention before when talking about working out, is that I also like to rebuild some of my strength in general throughout my body. So at least 5 times a week, I'd also like to incorporate some type of home strengthening exercises. This could be anything like squats, push-ups, just a small arm workout, whatever I feel like doing that day, but I really would like to start incorporating those. I'm gonna write that down as well. Incorporate a strength. I know I spelled that wrong. I want to cross that off and maybe write that over here. Strength building exercise 5 times a week. And again, this isn't gonna be super time consuming. It could be something super small, but just doing something towards strengthening my body. Now, the last goal that I have for this month, which has nothing to do with working out, is that I really want to grow out my nails. I'm sure, as you could probably tell on this video, I have a really bad habit of biting my nails. It's gross and I really want to stop. So this next month, I'm going to try to stop that habit. Recently, as I'll discuss in my next video, my husband and I have had to stick to a bit of a stricter budget because he's in school. So because of that, I've had to cut out things like doing my nails regularly. I normally have acrylic nails on, but I just removed them a few weeks ago. Now, though, I'd like to really focus on growing out my natural nails so that way I can just go ahead and start doing them at home. And again, this is another reason why I want to go ahead and start taking some more of those supplements, because I know the ones that are going to help with hair growth are also going to help with nail growth. So that's also kind of tied to here. So I'm going to write that down. Goal number 8 is to stop biting my nails. Sorry guys, these are just my sincere goals. I feel like some of them might feel a little out of place or kind of random, but this is what I'd like to do for the next 30 days. I'd really like to lock in and see if I can achieve some of these. Now, what I want to do is in about 2 weeks, I'd like to do a check-in with you to let you know how everything is going. I really also want to encourage you to join me if you can. If you feel like you've been stuck in the same place that I have, don't feel like you have to wait until January of 2026 to get started. I know there's a lot of end of the year stuff coming up right now, but it's really easy to just start. You don't have to wait for it to be a Monday. You don't have to wait for it to be the beginning of a month. You can just start now and start seeing some results. If you decide to join me, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. That way I know I'm not doing this by myself. But anyways, other than that, I will go ahead and see you maybe in about 2 weeks to do a check-in, and then later up I'll follow up with a 1-month check-in. And then hopefully soon I can also post a video about what my financial goals are and everything that has to do with Etsy and everything else. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. See you soon.